Welcome to the Selling Show, where we unpack, repack, and break down exactly how top experts sell their ideas, their value, and their services. This is your host, David Newman, and you are in the right place if you want better clients, bigger deals, and higher fees. I bet you've never heard of a hot salami sandwich, but my next guest is all about the hot salami sandwich, Mr. Sam Silverstein. Welcome to the show.
Hey, David, it's great to be here. I wish I could bring you something to nibble on while we're chatting right here, but unfortunately I can't.
See, this is the danger of the chit chat before we turn on the microphones. What we're really here to talk about is something near and dear to my heart and, Sam, your expertise, which is accountability. Now, can I just lay a little background with something that you and I have not talked about, and I wanted to save it for while the microphones are on. It's a little bit of a fanboy moment, me to you. Would you like to hear it?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, sure. Let's do this.
Okay. So I remember I heard you speak. This must have been 10 plus years ago. Obviously, you're really, really good. Many, many points stuck with me. But one quote was burned into my brain that's so important for professional sellers and consultants and coaches and trainers. It's the following. Are you willing to do what you have to do so you get to do what you want to do? And you shared that soundbite. And it's all about, oh my gosh, like there's the fun part of our work, and then there's the part of our work that we have to do. Because we don't like selling, we don't like marketing, even among our client base. Sometimes our clients are not willing to do what they have to do, so they get to do what they want to do, which is have a great culture and have a great team and have collaboration and so forth. So literally for the last 10 plus years, I've been quoting you and attributing this to you. I hope to God that you're the one that said it, because if not, a whole bunch of people are now Sam Silverstein fans, but I'm pretty sure it was you. But that quote, that is a value bomb that lasts a lifetime.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I haven't seen any of the royalty checks show up, but that was me. You know, David, it's interesting that you bring that up. I'm honored and moved by that, because I was going through some of my work last night and converting some things into new products, and I saw that. And, I am facing challenges all the time that I have to stop and ask myself, it doesn't ever end. It's not like you bust through and then it's utopic the rest of your life. No, there's always things that we have to do if we're going to get to those things that we want to do. And it's like layers upon layers. I appreciate you reminding me of that.
Absolutely. So let's back up the truck for a quick moment. We're just going to go beep, beep, beep. Give us the Sam Silverstein story, because this accountability thing, this has been your lifelong work, your lifelong passion, your lifelong pursuit. Tell us about kind of how this started and then some interesting milestones along the way that brought you to the work you're doing today.
I've been in two family businesses. I've been in business with my parents, and I was in business with my in-laws. So I am a family business expert by fire. I had two positive experiences, but later in the second one, a lot of people started coming up to me and thanking me for the advice that I'd given them. And David, quite frankly, I didn't even remember having the conversation with them in the first place most times. You know how that goes. And I thought, well, if I can have a positive impact on someone's life without trying, what would happen if I tried? And that spurred me to write my first book. And I think what was really happening is that my true unique purpose was coming through. My purpose wasn't to run a manufacturing business. I had a window and door manufacturing business, and that wasn't my purpose. It was something that I did along the way. And once I started writing and speaking, then things just kind of went from there. But it was a good 12 or 13 years into doing that I realized nobody could refer me or recommend me to their clients because they didn't know what I did. And it was at that point that I realized I was all over the place. I had sales, creative marketing, personal development, dynamic relationship building, strategic planning, because my background was in business. I could do all that stuff, but I had no focus. And that's where I went through a process where I realized that everything that we want to achieve is going to come down to one foundational bedrock, and that is accountability. And once I put those blinders on and started looking at it through that lens, then the whole world of possibilities opened up to me. The whole understanding of what accountability really is opened up to me, and the ability to help leaders transform not only their way of thinking, but the way the people they lead think has just evolved to a level I never expected could happen.
Some people say, well, he wrote a book, like the E-Myth, for example. Michael Gerber, great book. But the guy wrote one book and a couple of key concepts and then just kept on running with that. You've written how many books now on accountability?
12 books.
12 books. So, we're talking about, this is like a gold mine of depth and nuance and application, all the different applications of accountability. And I know that you talk about this very differently, and in my opinion, way more smartly than a whole bunch of other people that are talking about leadership and culture and commitments and trust. There's a difference in your universe between someone holding someone else accountable, whereas that doesn't really work. Tell us how it really works. Just give us the big picture framework that you share in all of your brilliance.
Well, it's no problem. I've got 5 hours and I think I can get this accomplished.
As long as we get the hot salami together, yes.
Hey, no problem. I will have it brought in somewhere around the 2-hour mark. No worries. Now, that's a great question, David. And here's how we see this. People don't understand what accountability is. They think it's punitive. They think it's punishment. It's standing up. Oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. No, that's your responsibility. That's being honest. If you mess up, fix it and fix it fast. It's not about holding people accountable, which is putting a gun to their head. Nobody wants a gun to their head. What accountability really is not a way of doing. It's not about getting stuff done. Accountability is a way of thinking, and it's how we think about our people. Do we see our people as the cause of the problem, or do we see our people as the solution to the problem? The leader that sees their people as the cause of the problem, the leader that says you have to earn my trust, the leader that says I have 32 headaches and each one has a first name, doesn't get it. That's the way it is. And so what accountability really is the leader seeing their people different and then creating an environment. We call it a workplace culture, but it's an environment that inspires people to choose, to want to be their best, and to be accountable. And that happens when the leader understands that they are first and foremost accountable to and accountable for their people. So what we do with leaders is help them understand that accountability starts with them, not with the people. It's a way of thinking, not a way of doing. And it's an outflow from an environment where people are actually inspired, not feeling persecuted.
Wow. I'm so glad I asked. And we didn't even need the first 2 hours for that. So we'll have to fill the first 2 hours with something else. Do you love selling? I know, me too. Do you hate selling? I know, me too. Listen, fantastic sales book you got to get your hands on. How do I know? It's mine. That's how. Do It Selling is now available for sale. Grab your copy, grab all the bonuses, all the companion tools, all the training, all the videos that go with it at doitselling.com. See you over there. So this is something where I think this is probably the missing ingredient for a lot of our listeners, consultants, trusted advisors, professional mentors, that no matter what they teach, strategic planning, leadership, customer service, innovation, communication skills, presentation skills, like you say, employee engagement, employee culture. You can come in, you can teach, you can coach, you can consult, you can do the most amazing, fantastic job. If you are not also adding a layer of accountability between you and your client and fostering a community of accountability among your clients internally, none of what you teach or coach or consult is going to stick. Am I right?
Well, absolutely. You're absolutely, David, you're always right. Come on. Boy, you nailed it. I don't care what you teach. If you're a coach or a consultant, you're teaching, you're advising, you're leading. And if we are not first creating this foundation of accountability, then whatever it is, if you're teaching, I don't care what you're teaching. If you're dealing with culture, if you're dealing with trust issues, if you're dealing with communication, if you're dealing with teamwork, if you're dealing with customer service, if you're dealing with creativity and innovation, if you're dealing with engagement, if you're dealing with relationship, it doesn't matter, because what happens is until leadership understands how to structure and put in place this foundation of accountability, you'll never be as good at these other areas as you could be. And so all of that flows back. And that's what we teach. We license what we do to certified accountability advisors. We train them, we support them, we're there with them. And most of them have things that they're already working with their clients on. But what they've found is once they instill this layer, this foundation of accountability in an individual and an organization, everything else takes off at a much more rapid pace.
Oh my gosh. So we totally have to dig into that. What I literally wrote down, Sam, accountability, because I'm huge on implementation, right? My whole thing is do it, implement, action, etc. Here's what I wrote down. Accountability is the glue of implementation. Whereas if there isn't that layer of accountability, people get all kinds of slippery, all kinds of excuses, all kinds of, yeah, but I'm busy, I didn't get a chance, et cetera, et cetera. So let's say I'm a leadership coach. I'm a leadership coach. I'm a leadership consultant. I do any of these things that we talked about: strategic planning, innovation, corporate culture.
How can you do strategic planning if you don't have a foundation of accountability first? How can you do strategic planning if you don't have a formalized vision of what your culture should be? Because the plan has to connect back to the culture, and it's in the culture where accountability is going to live and exist. And so that's the whole thing. It's like playing baseball. You hit the ball, you don't run to third, you got to go to first, then to second, then to third. Well, if you don't go to accountability and build that foundation and organization, none of that other stuff is going to happen successfully.
And this is where I think most consultants and most folks listening, they're like, well, if my clients don't get results, they're going to say, hey, your stuff doesn't work. Your stuff works brilliantly if they would implement it. In order for them to implement it, there has to be some accountability DNA. So tell us a little bit about what does it look like to add this accountability certification and this accountability toolkit to our arsenal of implementation and consulting, coaching, training work?
Well, what it looks like is this. When someone comes into the program, not only are they exposed to all these tools, I mean, we're talking about development courses, facilitation guides, participant workbooks. They are trained first so that they can then have this conversation very comfortably and intellectually with their clients. And when that happens, then what they're able to do is sit down with leaders in an organization and go, let's build your culture so that it supports any initiative that you want to take up. Because if the culture is one where I have to hold you accountable, then I have to always hold you accountable. It's always adversarial, and things are going to never move as quick or be as profitable as if you create the environment where, oh my gosh, my boss, David, he would never let me down, never let me down. He's always there for me. I will never, ever knowingly let him down. Now, when your people think that way, they'll move heaven and earth to make a project succeed. And that's when all the numbers go out the window. That's when all the projections, all the goals, everything you ever wanted turns out to be way underestimated, because your people will raise you up to a level that they couldn't have raised you up to before. So what happens is when a consultant or a coach starts working with a leader or an organization, and they come in with this tool set that we provide them that's very well organized, then what happens is they are reprogramming this way of thinking internally in the organization. We have a workplace cultural assessment that actually measures the quality of their culture. It actually measures accountability. And then from that benchmark, all the training, all the education is built on top of that. And once that foundation is in place, then if they want to help with a strategic plan, well, now you have the foundation to build the strategic plan. But the best strategic plan in the world, and I've only seen one of these come out this way, the first item in a strategic plan should always be protect and defend the culture, because the culture is the only thing that's going to differentiate you from your competition. So ultimately, what our certified accountability advisors are equipped to do is develop great leaders and build sustainable high performance culture. Everything else takes place as an outflow from that.
Yeah, really, really powerful. Now, let's say that, again, I'm now a certified consultant. I have all these amazing accountability tools in my toolkit. We do the initial cultural assessment, and the x-ray comes back, and it's not great news, Sam. It's not great news. We got a little bit of toxicity. We got a little bit of micromanaging. We got a little bit of politics, a little bit of turf wars. Are there tools that help us break through some of that, or at least address that openly and honestly and transparently, and say, hey, we're not going to get the strategic plan going because here's what I see on the x-ray?
All the tools necessary to address those issues are there. And so you've experienced this. Here's the real problem. So what we do in the program is we make all these tools available. We have systems for visual systems that we go in and work with teams and organizations to determine what their values are, to define their culture. All these engaging, fun tools, all this stuff is great. But the bottom line on success is going to come down to whether or not the leader is going to allow you to help them think differently. Because if the leader doesn't change, then nothing below the leader changes. You can't give what you don't have. If the leader doesn't grow, the company doesn't grow. And so, yes, all those tools are there and we love to use them. But the place where we really love to use them is with a leader who's engaging and realizes, you know what? I've achieved some success, but we could be better and I don't have all the answers. That's what it takes, that kind of leader. The tools are marvelous at that point.
Yeah, for sure. Now, again, working with a corporate client or a small business client or a family business client, I'm guessing family businesses are a total disaster with some of the relationship challenges and so forth. So there's lots of work to be done there.
They can be. They don't have to be.
They don't have to be. I'm talking to the multifamily business guy. He's like, it's
right.
not that bad. It's not that bad.
No, I turn to lean towards the positive. I think that many times it is positive. I think sometimes people need a little help though, right?
Right, for sure. Where I was going with this is when a consultant hears a client complain about, we launch these projects and it's real tough to get buy-in. It's real tough to get buy-in. Or, we have all the best intentions and then we launch this new project or this new initiative and boy, we hit this wall of resistance. People just don't want to change. They don't want to do it the new way. They're stuck in the old way and they hunker down. So the practical application of this accountability tool set, talk to me.
Okay. So this, I'm loving this conversation because I'm on a lot of podcasts and we've had absolutely zero conversation prior to this about what we were going to talk about. And so I wanted everyone watching this to understand that. And I say that because David, you ask amazing questions. You go right to the heart of the issues. You're incredibly perceptive. And I'm not trying to blow smoke or anything like that, but you get it. And here's the thing. The accountable leader creates an environment and organization where change is just a decision. Literally, you make a decision and then things happen. Now, why are there those organizations where there's all that resistance? Why are there those organizations where there's pushback? Well, that's because of the environment that the leader has created. So there's a piece in our toolkit that focuses on change, and we call it what I'm going to share, the terms of change. The terms of change are what why, and how. There's what are we changing? Why are we changing it? And how are we changing it? So there are some people that need to know what's being changed. That's all they need. That's their language. If you tell them what, then they'll go do it. If you don't tell them what, then they're dead in the water. There's some people that need to know why. There's some people that need to know how. That's all. Just tell me how to do this, David. I'll go get it done for you. That's all I need. Just tell me how. And then there are some people that push back on everything. They always struggle. They are the last ones to get on board. In an organization, we tend to call those the troublemakers. The reality is they are the what, why, how people. They need to know what, why, and how. And if they don't have that, they cannot move forward. Now, when they do have that, those individuals, and I know you've experienced this, they get on board and they will become your biggest proponent. They will be the biggest supporter. The ones that have pushed back the most will be pushing behind the most. And so all of that comes back to the leader. How does it come back to the leader? Well, how transparent is the leader? Does the leader share the what, why, and how on the front end? Or do I have to come and ask, well, why are we doing this? Because if the leader doesn't share that proactively and I have to ask, what do you think I'm thinking? Leaders holding back. Leaders covering something up. Why do I have to probe? Why do I have to ask these questions? So in creating a culture in a company that fosters accountability, that encourages accountability, the leader sets the pace by proactively sharing the what, the why, and the how, and communicating openly, transparently, and abundantly. That leader's trained to do that. Nobody knows to do that because they were born, babe, doctor holds them up, slaps them across the backside. Oh my gosh, there's a born leader. For sure, she knows to always communicate the what, why, and how. No, that doesn't exist. So in an organization where the leader has a reputation for that, then I don't even question, oh my gosh, they think we should paint the building pink? Get the scaffolding out. Let's get to work. There isn't the pushback. They know that decisions are being made in their best interest, not just the bottom line's best interest, because their leader doesn't say stupid stuff like, this isn't personal, this is business. Hey, every communication between two people is personal. If a leader doesn't understand that, they're not an emotionally intelligent leader. They're certainly not an accountable leader. So change, resistance to innovation or a lack of innovation, pushback, it comes back to what's the pace that the leader has set with regards to open communication around always providing the what, the why, and the how, because that brings down the defensive barriers and then people will move more quickly forward.
Hey, if you're loving this episode as much as I am, pop over to doitmarketing.com/manifesto and get your free 37-page download guide to how to sell smarter, sell more easily, sell more often. That's what we're here to help you with at The Selling Show. Off you go. I am guessing that when you do this work with clients and when your certified consultants do this work with their clients, the client, the transformation, like when Elvis leaves the building, the client, and especially the leadership client, the economic buyer who hired you, they probably are stunned, amazed, and delighted by the transformation that has occurred because this is so far and above and beyond what they thought was possible in their organization. I would love you to share just, big picture, maybe even in generic terminology. Tell us how clients convey this, like when one of your projects is completed and literally Elvis leaves the building and you get a phone call or an email, Sam, I cannot believe this is the same company that it was 90 days ago, 6 months ago. Tell us about some things that have changed. Tell us about some of the behavioral differences that these leaders now see in their teams.
Well, I want to share two with you, but I want to back up just a little bit. I'd like Elvis not to leave the building. And we want to create a situation for the consultants to become certified with us and use our materials with their clients to have some sort of ongoing maintenance, some sort of ongoing touch. Even if it means whether they're doing it or whether they get someone from within the company to become certified, which they benefit from. But once you start this conversation organization, you never want to stop it. It's something you always need to work on.
It's almost like going to the gym, right? That as soon as you stop going to the gym, you stop building muscle and you start to weaken.
Exactly. So it is something that needs to be a constant. And that's why our CAAs come back every 12 to 18 months and they'll do our culture audit with companies to measure how things are progressing, or if they're not, or where their challenges are, because you want to continuously measure so you can continuously improve. Two things that have jumped out to me. I've been in some special companies. When I get involved with a company, I'm involved at every level. I could be in a stockholders meeting. I could be at the holiday party, you name it, everything in between. But I'm at these events that I'm going to call them some sort of event that's a family event where the spouses are there. And in a couple of places in particular, the spouse happened to be a woman. So the wife, I was talking with the wife, and she said to me, several have said, my husband's a better husband for having worked here. Now, when you as a leader, and the only thing you have as a leader is impact and influence. If your people are better husbands, better fathers, better people in the community because they work in your organization, I don't think it gets any better than that. And let me tell you, if that's how they're living their life, they're better employees. And if they're better employees, I guarantee you're leading a better organization. That's one thing. Another, and I've heard that several times, and some of those times weren't organizations necessarily. One was not an organization that I necessarily even helped. I case studied them, but I saw it in action, and it was moving to see that a leader could have that kind of impact. And that's what we want the leaders of our clients to have. The other was a client that we worked with. It was a 12-month engagement, and about 9 months in, he happened to be the chairman, the president of his trade association. And he complimented me two ways. One, he said, Sam, our conference is coming up, and I don't know what you're going to talk about. I just know you have to be there. Just the fact that I had to be there, that he wanted to show me off, was really a compliment. And you've had that, you know what I'm talking about. The other thing was when he introduced me, as a professional speaker, I provide an introduction, a written introduction that they can read and use, and it makes it easy for them and they don't have to think. And he goes into the introduction and he stops and he says, we've been working with Sam's organization for 9 months. And in that time, our activity level, which is their unit of measure, our activity level has tripled. And now he said this to all his peers in the room. That was a real humbling moment. The fact that he would choose to share that with them, it meant a lot. So here's what I know. Truth is always truth. And sometimes we think we have all the answers, but the consultants and the coaches, depending on how you see yourself, that are always open to trying to be better, create an environment where they can help their clients be better. Because if we don't grow, we can't help them grow. And when a consultant works with a leader and helps them understand how to build this foundation of accountability, how to build a workplace culture that inspires accountability, amazing things start to happen in that company. And whatever else that coach or consultant is passionate about, they're going to be able to get that client to be more successful in that area as well.
Absolutely. Wow. I love many things about what you just said. Number one is challenging the premise. Wait a minute. Elvis does not leave the building. Elvis stays in the building. And this is a source of either monthly recurring revenue or annual recurring revenue for every consultant that has this toolkit, because that's kind of the point of accountability, that it does not stop. And we always need guardrails, and we always need to keep going back into the gym and working with that personal trainer to keep strengthening and keep evolving. The second thing that you mentioned about leaders, all leaders have is impact and influence. Well, Sam, all consultants and coaches have is impact and influence also. And if they want their impact and their influence to have a 10x factor, I think adding this accountability toolkit there is no better way, in my opinion, Mr. Do It over here, than there's no better way than adopting this accountability framework and tool set so that they can 10x their impact and 10x their influence, like with those two stories that you shared. So tell us, where can we send people gifts, resources, links? These will all be in the show notes. Where can we send people to get connected and stay connected to more Sam Silverstein brilliance?
Well, I appreciate that. First of all, theaccountabilityinstitute.com, theaccountabilityinstitute.com is the website for that. A couple of things that I'd love to share is we have a free personal accountability assessment, and it's a really enlightening tool. It takes 2 minutes to do, and you get a report, and it's free. And that can be had at amiaccountable.com, amiaccountable.com. And then we also provide a free book. And the book is The Theory of Accountability. Yeah, it's a real book. And that's available at samfreebook.com. And it's free plus shipping. So they're going to have to pay the shipping on it, but we give them the free book. It's shipped anywhere in the United States. If a listener is out of the United States and we work with the people around the world, there's a free downloadable version. So either way, they're covered. But those two resources will be very valuable.
Excellent. And all of those links and a whole bunch of other goodies from Sam are directly under this episode at thesellingshow.com. Well, Sam Silverstein, such a pleasure. You and I both owe each other a hot salami sandwich. And one more thing that might be good for your specific audiences. Sure.
We have a quiz that itemizes, identifies your consulting or coaching blind spot and gives you feedback on your coaching business.
Let's have that too. Sure.
Wouldn't that be good for everybody?
That'd be amazing.
It's just consultingblindspot.com.
I think you may own more domains than I do. Is that possible?
I may. We have a lot of domains, and we've let 100 go in the past year.
Good for you. Wow. That's a nice couple of steak dinners out, I guess, over the course of a year.
Dave, it's been great to be with you.
Thank you, Sam. And we have to have you back, and you can hold me accountable, even though we don't hold people accountable. But I will be accountable to you to invite you back and continue this chat, because we literally could have filled the 5 hours. No question. We could have filled the 5 hours. You're a rock star, my friend. I appreciate you.
Thank you, David. Anytime. My pleasure. You're a rock star too.
And that wraps up another episode of The Selling Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, tell a friend, go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thesellingshow.com. See you next time.